Hi everyone, so the first job today is to finally swap out the batteries. So in the vehicle here I've got two brand new batteries, so we're just going to swap these out and hopefully that's going to resolve all our battery issues. One thing I do need to just check is that the alternator on board is actually working and keeping those batteries charged up, that isn't the reason why we're losing power, but pretty sure it's the batteries because they are dying so quick. They just literally just don't hold a charge. They'll hold it long enough to get it started when you first charge them up, so you'll charge them, you'll get them up to 100%, it will start the vehicle, but as soon as you turn it off, basically they're dead again. So, new batteries. Right, the batteries. So there's a couple of issues with the batteries, which make it not a difficult job, but just awkward. Is first of all their accessibility. They're underneath the back seat, so therefore to work on them you need to be standing on the steps rather than inside the cab, which again, not a massive problem. The breathing apparatus sets get in the way all the time, which means I should really have taken the breathing apparatus sets off, but hey ho, we can work that out, that's not a problem. Main issue, they are, pardon my French, bloody heavy. But we'll disconnect them, get them out, get the new ones in, and see how that pans out. If I remember correctly, I think they're a 13mm bolt all round, and they're 12-volt batteries with a linkage, making them working in series, and therefore giving you 24 volts. Wouldn't normally take this linkage off when disconnecting batteries. You would normally just disconnect the batteries, but because we're taking them off and taking them out, we need to take that off so that we can actually get the things off. So we put these on both sides. Don't really need them on both sides, well, certainly don't need them on both sides. These are just isolation switches. They were put on, or I put them on, primarily to see if it helps with the battery issue that we were getting, because I was wondering whether or not there was a drain of some sort on the vehicle that was causing it to flatten the batteries. So I thought, well, we'll put these isolation switches on to isolate the batteries. We'll leave them on because it's a useful thing to have anyway, so we'll leave them on, but that didn't resolve the issue. So they're disconnected. Now it's a case of getting these damn things out. And as I say, they're heavy. Probably argue that this really is a two-person job, but there's not two people here today, so it's just me on my own. So just before I put the new batteries in, just going to give it a quick once over, quick check to make sure there's nothing concerning in here. I could do with a bit of a clean up. I think I'm just going to go and get my vacuum cleaner, give this a clean out. It would have been good to give it a quick coat of paint inside as well, but we're not going to get that dried in time. So it's a job for the future to remember to paint in here. The wood itself feels fine. Batteries haven't been leaking, so we haven't got any corrosion or any damage to the wood, which that's good. So there's no repair work to be done. Just give it a clean up. Yeah, let's go get the Hoover. If I didn't know better, I'd say the new batteries are even heavier. Okay, so the first issue I can see is the terminals are the other way around on this battery set. So whereas before it was positive and negative, it's the other way around. Obviously the connector will still work. It's labelled up positive and negative, so we'll put it on like so. But it will mean having to try and put the terminals on the other way, which doesn't give me a lot of space to play with. They are going to reach, but it's not ideal. Actually, what I'm going to do, that's positive, I'm going to turn it over that way so that this is out the way a little bit. Terminals feel a bit bigger, so I need to probably just stretch these open a little bit. So just go and do that now. Okay, so something I realised when I was just opening these up a little bit is that they're actually tapered, so therefore it won't go on that way, it will have to go on that way, like so. Okay, that's all nice and tight. So next thing is to what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the isolators first. Put that on first. Now, because that isn't going to reach, let's just give myself as much room as I can. It isn't much more. So because that isn't going to reach, I wonder. What I think I'm going to do is turn the batteries round. Means disconnecting this again because I'm not going to be able to move them both together. But I reckon if I turn them around, I think the cables will reach better that way. Because the positive would go over into that corner. I don't know if you, let me just angle the camera down a bit more. So the positive would be going over into this corner here, which obviously I can slide these back this way more as well. So the positive will go over in that corner, the negative will go over to that corner, which not a problem. Plus the fact I've got the isolators, which will give us a bit more space. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn the batteries round. We'll time lapse this bit. Alright, so that's the batteries turned round. Let's just slide them down this way a bit. Can't slide them too much. Right, that's right, there's a bolt there that's stopping it from going any further. I don't want it resting on that, so that's fine. Right, now let's put the isolators on. Do you know what? They could probably do with being stretched open a little bit as well. So we'll go and do that now. Oh, look at that, lovely job. Straight on. Now, one thing I have noticed is the terminals on these batteries are bigger, just slightly bigger than the other one. Notice that obviously because I had to stretch these out, but as a result I don't think, yeah, I'm not comfortable with that going on there. It's just not, I don't want to damage the terminal by whacking that down. And as I said, you don't need them on both sides. You really only need it on the negative terminal, as far as from what I've been told. Answers in the comments, please, if you know that's wrong and you know that I need to be different to that. But because of that, what we're going to do is we're going to connect the positive terminal directly. We'll put the negative terminal through the through the isolator. Okay, moment of truth. Let's go and see if it fires up. That sounds good. So just moving away from Dennis, because obviously just started him and he's quite loud until he warms up. One little issue I had it wouldn't start properly. It would start, and as soon as I stopped giving it any kind of revs, it would instantly stop again, and that was a bit worrying. That was on me, stupidly. So to stop Dennis, you don't turn him off like a car. You don't just turn the key and stop him. You turn the key on Dennis, and you can actually hit the key out of Dennis, and he'll still carry on running. Vehicles of that age, they have a choke, which is a different thing to a choke on an old petrol car, which you used to pull to give a bit more fuel, a higher, richer mix of fuel in a vehicle, which all you modern kids, listen to him, they talk like an old granddad here, all you modern kids won't even know what that is, because you just don't have them anymore, because they're automatic on a car now. But yeah, that was an old choke on a car. On Dennis, he has a choke which stops him. And what we mean by that is we have a lever that we pull inside of Dennis to actually choke the engine. Now, that, I don't know if it's supposed to be spring-loaded or not, but that, you pull it up to stop Dennis, and then push it back down again, ready for the next time you're gonna to start Dennis. If you leave it pulled up, it's left in the choked position, and therefore when you start it, as soon as you stop giving it any kind of revs, it just chokes again, because the choke's engaged. And that's what I'd done on Dennis. I'd left the choke up. So as soon as I press the choke back down again, then it starts up absolutely fine, and as you can hear, he's running now. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Dennis forwards a bit, still keeping him inside the shed, but out of the shadows of the back there, bringing him forward in order to do the rest of the jobs for the day. So obviously when we took all the doors off, Dennis, to get them painted and then to paint the rest of the vehicle, we had to take all the rubber off the doors and all the door surrounds, etc. So that's all got to go back in place. Some of it is going to be the existing rubber that was already in place, and some of it is going to be like this, which is a new piece. Very difficult again to get original material. So what was unfortunate with this is it was a little bit too long on the blade edge. So this is the rubber that goes on this trim here, on the edge of the door here, and presses against the window, and that's what stops the water going down, or reduces the amount of water that goes down inside the door, which is clearly a good thing, because that's one of the big problems with the Dennis, was that the water would get inside there, down that edge, collect at the bottom of the door, and cause the rust and rot issues that we had. Now, what I'm going to do with Dennis is put new rubbers on, which should reduce that. I'm going to paint the inside of the door with under seal to hopefully protect the inside of that. I'm going to check as well that the drain holes are all nice and clear. Clearly they will, because the doors have just been done. But make sure all that's nice and clear, that there's a good way for the water to run out so it doesn't collect. We're never going to stop the water from getting in. You're never going to get a watertight seal, but it's how the door deals with the water. So the first thing to do is put this rubber strip on. Now this is too long to go in place. It's already been cut down roughly for the right length, but it is still too long. We're going to put this in place. I was considering putting some double-sided sticky tape along the edge of this as well, just to hold it in place, but it grips so tight anyway that's not necessary. And it's a bit easier to work from inside the cabin doing this, because of the height. Now, the first thing I want to do is, when I put this on, I want to see if I can get the rubber in behind the track that the window runs up. Obviously we don't want it in the track, because that's just going to stop the window from being able to move. So I'm going to see how much I can get in to there. The higher up the body I can get this, the better, because the more sealed it's going to be, and the less chance of it actually gripping. Less chance of the window catching the edge as it comes down. But yes, now we need to work out where we're going to cut this. Now, having already cut this several times to length, I know it's a bit of a pig, because inside of it it's got a metal core. Well, it's not a metal core as such, it's got metal, don't know if you can see from that far, it's got metal U-shaped pieces of metal in there, which is what ultimately gives it the grip against the door. But clearly that makes it a bit difficult for cutting it and putting it into place. What we've got to do now is put that same piece of that on each of the 4 doors. You've got that door, the other 3 doors. Okay, so still playing with rubber. The next thing to do is to put the door trim around the inside of the door, which is a relatively simple job. Because it's already been cut to length, or because it was already in, it's just a case of pressing it onto the door frame and make sure it's nice and snug, which I'm doing with my rubber mallet. So that's that, and then the last bit is just a simple piece of metal reinforced hardened rubber, which just goes along the bottom edge. And that's just to take the sharpness out of the bottom of it. Okay, 3 more doors.